So let's have a conversation here in studio. Joining me right now is Makueni, Member of Parliament, Dan Manza. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So the members of Parliament are saying that the courts are really frustrating them and they should be above board when it comes to these injunctions and orders from the courts. Is that the same feeling you have?
Well, not exactly, because you know, the courts are very independent from Parliament, and what happens is there's something called sub judice rule,
Right.
Whereby if proceedings have already started at the High Court, then Parliament cannot interfere. And also, again, if proceedings have already started in Parliament, then the courts cannot interfere. So with that rule, I've seen in this case they've tried to say that it's the manner of which it's being conducted. But you know, a committee of Parliament is equivalent by law to the High Court itself. And therefore, there is no way, and I'm expecting the Speaker really to rule this afternoon. I really don't want to predict what he'll do. But in this case, I think, though there could have been special circumstances, I think the courts have overstepped its mandate.
But the Auditor General went to court and said that this was unfair. And last week in a press briefing, he actually gave account on account of what he felt was not fair in regards to how the committee was going through with the process of investigating this petition.
You know, the committees are investigatory, and they have powers to summon witnesses. And, you know, it's open. You know, even he himself had a chance to see, and you could see what happened. It is true, there are allegations, and I want to say there's a lot of corruption going on with these softwares. In fact, some of them get hacked, and they frustrate government institutions, and the monies are stolen through softwares. In fact, the so-called HIFMIS, we give it so much money in the budget. And you know, people who are good in technology in Parliament, on the floor of the House, and I'm sure will be contributing during the budget, they know that this is an area where a lot of money is being looted from Kenyans. So there's no way the court will stop a thief from being a thief. The only thing which is helps with the matters, either before the court or before the Parliament, is evidence. And you see, the evidence before parliamentary committees are on a balance of probabilities.
Right.
So I think Parliament is on its track. Once Parliament makes a decision, you know, if Parliament sacks Ouko, the courts cannot reinstate him.
But remember that during the Finance Committee, I mean, they've been asked for evidence so many times. They've asked for evidence in regards to this petition. But, you know, there's really no solid evidence that was given. And remember also that the DPP already cleared the Auditor General from these claims. So what more does this Finance Committee want?
Well, you know, Kenya has a big problem in fighting corruption. It is clear that though Ouko was not touched directly, and you know, it's also not good to go into the substantive issue of a matter pending before Parliament or pending before court, but from the evidence of adduced so far and on the face of it, you could see indeed some money got lost. You could see indeed there was wheeler dealing, but there's nothing to pin down Mr. Ouko personally.
Right.
What is circumstantial. And in matters in court, circumstantial evidence, which is watertight enough, can warrant a conviction. That is, if he's eventually prosecuted. So at times, the ESCC and the investigative organs make sure that the evidence does not land before the DPP. And the moment evidence does not land before the DPP has no choice. It's not the one who puts the evidence together. And I believe we need to change the law in this regard so that the DPP is given teeth to bite, because so far a lot of corruption cases involving a lot of money have failed in that regard.
What do you think really was going to be the advice that the Speaker will give to this particular case?
I expect the Speaker to follow the law. And the law is very clear, even before the judge. Even the judge is aware that, you know, a matter which is already live in Parliament cannot be subjected to another process in court. If he thinks that the manner and the style is unconstitutional or amounts to breaching of his rights, you can even see the date they have given it, 15th May.
Yes.
That's far enough. I don't believe Parliament is ready to wait for that long. Parliament, in my own opinion, should go on with its work, make his own conclusions, and then Mr. Ouko should go on with his court case. You know, sometimes you don't do court cases in vain. In fact, it amounts into wasting the court's time and the government's resources.
Let's talk about also the conflict that seemingly continues to rise between, you know, the parliament and the court. Remember that the Senate at one time removed Wambora from, you know, his position,
Yes.
but the court, you know, maintained that he actually defended him. So what really is the recourse that Parliament should take then?
I want to say that once a process has been completed in Parliament, just like any law we make, even an act of Parliament like the security laws, can be subjected to scrutiny by the courts, and that will be within the jurisdiction of the court. So the court can amend or can be able to particularize a situation whereby human rights were breached or some law was not followed. And in that case, then the annulment can be, you know, can be determined, and you'll be able to find out that you know, Parliament in its decision erred by failing to follow this and that law. But both processes cannot go at the same time because of the sub judice rule. One has to happen first, and the other one has to go next.
So where do we really then draw the line between these two very powerful institutions then?
Well, you know, each is independent, and each one must complete its process. Once the process of Parliament is completed, then Judiciary can interfere, can intervene, can rectify, can make corrections, can even nullify legislation which is unconstitutional. What is most important is to determine the constitutionality of that activity. And, you know, Parliament is composed of minds which are expected to direct themselves properly. But at the end of the day, it's a vote. And, you know, the popular vote takes the day in Parliament.
Yes.
But that does not mean whatever we have done is watertight. That's why there is opposition. And that's why you find not everybody votes in a certain manner. You find in the case of Wambora, the Senator Gideon Moore declined. And he said, you know, this cannot be the way the country is going to go. And you can see that was upheld by the court. So you may find an unpopular thinking on the floor of the House turns out to be the true scenario elsewhere.
Well, let's expand the conversation and go back to what's happening today in regards to some politics. And Uhuru Kenyatta is going to be going to Kisii counties. Do you think he's making any inroads in that region, looking at the defections that we've seen?
Well, the defections you see are inconsequential.
Really?
And they are going in both directions.
A senator defecting is inconsequential?
Yes. In a lot of cases. You know, some of these senators, the moment they realize they are finished, or governors or MPs, the moment you realize you are finished politically, you turn to the sitting government. You know, in Kisii, you remember Professor Ongeri, who was hired by the government, left the government, left Jubilee, and joined ODM. And I believe he has very high chances of being elected because Kisii is 90% NASA.
90%?
90% NASA. And I can assure you, this time round is doing very bad for Jubilee. That's why they are making an effort. If things go on the way they are going in NASA, Kisii is even likely to be 100%.
But 100%?
Yes. You remember the other day there was a by-election. Jubilee lost with all the money, with all the power, with all the pomp. And in fact, the few people who had defected there to go back to NASA, or particularly in that area, it was ODM. You know, like, we have even the members of Parliament there from Wiper.
Okay.
And Nyamira generally is really in the opposition.
All right, let's wait and see if that's going to be 100% like you mentioned. Thank you so much for your time. Makueni Member of Parliament, Dan Manza there. All right, so we want to take a break here on News Center, and we'll be coming back to begin our second hour here on the show. So don't go away, we'll be right back.